Hey everyone, welcome back to Drama or Hum for our weekly review. I'm Aisha from Lahore, Pakistan.
Hi, I'm Mariam from Mumbai, India. And of course, Ramadan Mubarak to everyone who's watching.
Hamza Mubarak, I hope your fasts are going well. What we do want to ask you is, as the audience, is which one are you watching and which one is your favorite out of Qarz-e-Jaan, Faraar, and Meem Se Mohabbat? Let us know in the comments below. Um, Mariam, should we start with our usual Faraar first?
Yeah, sure. So for our episode was action-packed. I really liked the episode. Some parts of it were confusing, but for most of it, it was interesting. They were moving the stories forward. I think the way they did the storytelling for that Batish Faraz Bali trio where he's trying to kill him and like the climax or what they were kind of the way the scenes were progressing were interesting. Also, they showed Batish's flashback where you see a young Faraz as well. And they found the
Ah,
right kids. Faraz, that
they
young
did.
Faraz
Huh.
eventually could look like the old Faraz. So
Yeah.
obviously the uh, what's his name, Bali meeting Nazo, which was a bit weird, but
Buggy.
like the
Huh.
buggy, thoda, the interaction was too long. I thought the pause was too long, as a forlorn lover type. Because
Huh.
anyway, they find it so difficult to tell the story, then they should shorten some of these unnecessary scenes. But what was confusing was that whole Babrik thing because they ended with Babrik killing the parents and they started with she dropping the plates, which I wasn't very
Huh.
sure where in that storyline it was. First, I thought they were showing flashback, and then fast forward ऐसे कुछ, and
Huh.
then obviously you realize that that was actually her imagination and not what happened. And obviously then
Huh.
random nurse wala
Huh.
scene. So I don't know why, but ठीक है. Uh,
Oh, I was gonna say the nurse is back. Yeah.
maybe वापस
Sumaila is
nurse.
back.
Yeah. तो वो सब, but I
Huh.
mean overall it was good, good, above average episode.
Huh. I agree. I think for me, it was an episode. I enjoyed this more than the previous few episodes. A lot happened, which was good. Finally, Babrik's track moved forward a little bit after showing us, his interaction with his brothers. दो तीन हफ्ते हम वही देख चुके हैं. हमें पता चल गया कि he's very close to his brothers. और उसको भी, separation anxiety हो रही है और सारा कुछ. Finally, he's actually left. Again, like that wasn't executed very well in my opinion because that last part about the which was key imagination wali thi yaale ki,
Mhm.
I do think that she will tell somebody about this. Either she will tell Babrik's father,
Mm.
जो
Mm.
उसका चाचा, somebody she will tell. Yeah, she will escalate this too because otherwise it doesn't make sense. Like, why does she know now? Like for Babrik, I'm still not feeling that level of emotion because they've shown us so little of him. Like they've only showed us like two different scenes replayed over and over. One is his gussa wala scene and one is his love for his brothers. मतलब
Mm.
उसी की different variations हमने देखी हैं उसके character में. We don't know much more about him. Um, Again, as you said, the Batish wala, it's interesting how he's thinking back to his loyalty towards Faraz and then his loyalty towards Bali.
Yeah.
और इतना कोई क्लियर उसके जहन में नहीं है कि मैं क्या करूंगा. He's also conflicted कि whose side will I take. um, so that was interesting. I thought that scene again, you had said this before. Actually, we did a little bit of this and we forgot to record actually. So Mariam had said before that the frames were very nice in that room जहाँ बातिश था.
Right.
uh,
Yeah. I thought the whole sequence was shot well. The music
hmm,
was also like, pulsating
yeah,
with the scene and all.
yeah.
So I think they did that bit very well, but other bits they dragged, right? Like again, that Bully and Buggy scene, it didn't
Huh.
need to be so long.
And our favorite Inspector Fussy was there.
Yeah, he and his माशूका, उसका
हाँ
2 सेकंड का जो भी random scene था, ठीक है.
हाँ I I saw, okay, I could tell like a little bit, okay, they wanted to show us, that, oh, they're still like so cute and so in love and all of that. Um, and there was a moment where I'd forgotten that Mohsin Beg को वो ले गया हुआ है. I was like, oh shit, like अब वो प्रोफेसर के घर जाएंगे और Mohsin Beg तो वहीं पर होगा, and I don't know what they will do now.
हाँ हाँ.
But again, the fact that they took him there, I mean, why did they have to show that they checked that house, but there was nobody there, and now, you know, uh, it was a bit of a like, okay, it was placed there so that they could show us like the next scene with her on the Vespa, that she's going to the mother's house, and so she's escaped that whole thing. But I don't know now कि अब वो इंस्पेक्टर के घर जाके कुछ करने की कोशिश करेंगे या नहीं. I have
Don't
a
think
bad feeling that the mother might die. Like I just got this bad feeling that Fussy's mother
no.
might die. Yeah,
I mean,
might be
so
killed in
far,
all of this.
I don't know. I so far they haven't taken weird like this Salim Javed pair, right? They're like
Ha,
police. They go late only
ha.
everywhere. They reach everywhere after things are done.
Yeah,
So, but they haven't taken random people and shot them, right? They don't go and just shoot
ha,
randomly. So even to her house, he tells him that wait, we'll go like that. But I feel that whole sequence could not have been there. It could have simply been there कि हमने उनके घर भी check किया, वो नहीं थे. Full stop.
ha,
And that could have been the end of it. That whole thing they didn't have to show us. Like how did the story move? It didn't move anywhere with
ha.
that.
It didn't go anywhere.
The Vespa
And
conversation, the story didn't move. So they are, I feel like in this show, there's so much story to tell. But then they add scenes which are not moving the story forward, and it's like wasting
hmm,
time. And it's
yeah,
making me at least like impatient. कि अभी चलो आगे
ha.
क्या होने वाला है वो दिखाओ. Uh,
Exactly, because वही बात है कि इतना कुछ आपने इतने you started so many different tracks. Now
hmm,
we want to know, now we want to see more of each. And that brings me to the buggy wala track as well at the end. That scene was literally 7 minutes long. And I can see कि अच्छा, okay, Bali heard that, he was shocked, वो कुछ बोल नहीं पाया. But I thought maybe, okay, first 2 minutes, if he's not able to say something, that's fine. But at some point, he has to, they've tried to show कि वो इतना shocked है, वो इतना shocked है कि उसको कुछ समझ ही नहीं आ रहा कि वो करे क्या.
शादी कहाँ की है तूने बाली? कितने बच्चे हैं?
नहीं की.
पूरी वुजू कराई उसको, फिर उसकी माँ
हाँ,
को लगाया, फिर वहां ले लाइक इतना इतना
मतलब हर आंसू एक होता है ना कि एक सीन में टेंशन इज बिल्डिंग अप. Like it was just too slow. Like there was so much potential in that scene, but because of the how slow it was, for me, they kind of lost it. Because
yeah,
that impact was lost after the first 2, 3, 4 minutes, right? It didn't have to be 7 minutes long.
yeah.
Again, I thought that they could have added. They were adding so many flashbacks. They could have added one for Bali and for her, because abhi tak we've not seen them together, the younger ones in a frame. She alludes to the fact कि oh, उस घर में तो हम इकट्ठे खेलते थे. But
Hmm.
कोई, maybe if they had given us a little bit more कि वो क्या था past में, तो we could have felt a bit more for that pair as well.
ऐसा कोई ना था मैं
I think the flaw, not the flaw, but the issue with storytelling in this show is that in some places they are building this tension, right? Where this whole
Hmm.
fussy that scene was like you are wanting to know what's happening, and then they cut and move to another story which is not at the same pace, right?
And
So
not at
they
the same climax level or
yeah,
intensity
so
level.
they're constantly like seesawing between like very slow and very fast, right?
Hmm.
So you also lose that momentum of watching, because you're watching something
हाँ,
which is building in intensity, and then cut to something very random, like the scene with the nurse,
yeah,
and he's telling her that don't want this child. It was such a long scene, and it was not.
exactly.
Why was it placed there in the middle of that intrigue building? So you can't again,
हाँ,
you lost interest, right? You're like,
yeah,
okay, what just happened? So I think that is one flaw, and the other flaw is uh, in the search for these cliffhangers or ending episodes at like this question, right? They lose
hmm,
all continuity. Like last week, they wanted to end at that shooting scene so that we
hmm,
feel वो
hmm,
मर गए. And now they
hmm,
want to show they didn't die. But the way they started it was so abrupt that you almost
hmm,
were like, okay, what just happened? I'm more confused than I was before.
yeah,
So I think if they want to create that suspense, fine. But the continuity still needs to be there. They can't
yeah,
lose continuity at the cost of building suspense or creating these
yeah,
highs and lows, which I think they're missing somewhere. This trick of pacing
हाँ,
correctly, using the right scenes to
hmm.
bring the stories, and also not having some scenes which are just filler scenes to create continuity. Like they're
कुछ
creating
उसमें चाहिए
continuity
नहीं
in
है.
the wrong places and not in
हाँ,
the places where you need it. So it's kind of
हाँ.
like you almost are frustrated as a viewer, and you're like, what is why are you doing this, you know?
Yeah. And I think that is a comment that, we haven't said it in those words, but we keep saying it in our weekly reviews as well, where we say, कि, oh, एक story में, oh, बहुत कुछ हुआ, that's going really well, and, we learned more about that, and that's becoming more intense. But then, like, for example, in the previous few weeks, in the middle of all the chaos, they would just show like one scene of Babrik and his brothers making chicken kadai, right?
Mm,
Like, what are you? It is not intense enough. That scene should have come at the very beginning of
mm,
where everything was going, where everything was building up.
mm.
Now is the time that, okay, things have built up to a certain extent, and now what is going to happen?
Yeah, थोड़ा गाड़ी चलाओ आगे, you know,
Exactly, exactly.
don't
And
move
now
too and slow down the show.
क्योंकि अब जो टीजर है उसमें दोबारा there is movement on the, you can see on the Batish track and on the buggy track as well.
Mm,
So again, we see that Batish is trying to kill somebody. A
mm.
buggy runs to him. He's trying to kill somebody. All of that. So a lot is going to happen in the next episode now.
Yeah,
But again, we don't know, okay, whether in the middle of all of that they will still like then show one conversation between Fasi and Satya.
yeah.
To say कि हम आपसे तुमका सफर
हाँ, और
बहुत
वो
जल्दी
लोग
तय
अभी
कर
भी
लिया.
पहुंचे नहीं है उनके घर, like they're still driving. I don't know how long they're
हाँ,
driving. Fasi and
exactly. हाँ.
Muslim.
Now, Mohsen Beg is also going to arrive at the dera at any point now. Balli
Hmm.
ka dera. So maybe like in the next episode we get at least the convergence of those three, four parties together.
Yeah.
Um, Now the question for me would be, I don't know whether it's going to be a showdown of good versus bad. ठीक है, good being one thing I have to say to about Faraar though is that we know for sure that all of these characters are all gray characters. I mean,
Hmm.
not gray, like more than gray. Let's say Batish is an assassin, Bali is an assassin. Faraz बेचारे का कुछ उस तरह से नहीं है, but most of these, but you know, in सबने like everybody has a checkered past, but we're still feeling for them. I mean,
Hmm.
I still want the best to happen for Bali or the best to happen for Batish. So even though I know that, they have done their share of whatever,
Hmm.
um, so maybe that is one thing that we have to give credit to the writing for, that they have at least like thoda sa, we're not saying, oh, this is a bad character or a good character. Now, I don't know whether like where they're taking the story though.
I don't agree with you.
You
I'm
don't
not
agree?
invested in the characters. I'm invested in the story.
Okay. Yeah.
Not because I haven't seen much of anyone to be
Haha.
like, oh, I feel for this guy or that guy. I just am now interested.
Hmm.
I'm just interested in the story. I'm not
Huh.
interested in.
I think for me the story is foremost, but also I do have now like I do want like Batish to be safe, Bali to get out of it, because I can see that QIP is like what was making them do all of this. Now my
Hmm.
only concern is that I don't know where this whole thing is heading. मतलब अब ये
Okay.
सारे इकट्ठे तो हो जाएंगे अब, मतलब फसी और मोहसिन बेग भी यहीं पे आ रहे हैं, so
Hmm.
all of these guys will be there. But I don't know Babrik का क्या connection है, अभी तक कुछ भी establish नहीं हुआ. Babrik has been like an offshoot, so I don't know whether he's going to show up somewhere
Yeah,
around here as well. um but then what are they going to like, what is going to happen then? Are they all going to like then fight QIP? But the problem with QIP now is कि QIP में कोई भी strong character नहीं है.
yeah. Hmm.
All your strong characters are on one side. अब QIP में वो एक शाह साहब दिखाए हैं, to be honest, ठीक है, एक सीन दिखाया 2 मिनट का या क्या, we don't know very much, and that Salim Javed is not inspiring any fear in me right now. Like
Hmm.
as you say, वो हमेशा चीज के बाद पहुंच के कहते हैं ओ हो यहाँ क्या हुआ. Right?
But
Like
also,
उनका सिर्फ
I
नर्स पे
think
चलता है.
the mistake was that they shouldn't have shown Shasa, because then you have some fear. Not fear, but you
हाँ
feel there's a presence which is larger than life, right?
हाँ
The moment you show a person, that thing reduces to that person.
exactly.
They could have just kept him as a voice on the phone, or just from the back. So it would have
Yeah,
created a bit more intrigue. That this guy is someone powerful, right? The moment you
हाँ
show someone and it's not that interesting, then you kind of
yeah
lose that. So I feel
हाँ
that was a mistake. I wouldn't
हाँ
have shown the character if I was the
yeah.
director.
Yeah, just my closing thought, and then if you want to add something after that. Um, for me, like I don't know where the story is headed though now. Either it's going to be a QIP versus all of these people showdown.
Hmm.
But usme QIP is not strong enough, and I don't understand then why show us the whole public track.
Hmm.
If it goes the other way, like the donkey route or whatever, I'm still open to that idea. Usme, okay, Babrik ka track makes sense, but then why this whole QIP thing, that doesn't make sense. और
Hmm.
QIP को आपने इतना अब मैंने से नहीं दिखाया कि उनसे भाग के ये लोग छोड़े.
Yeah.
Fussy is already on their side, kind of. He's in the middle. So there is nobody who they're escaping from, really, who's that powerful now.
No, but they're all escaping from each other, right? Like Batish is not
Hmm.
escaping from QIP, he's escaping from the police. Bali's there since a long time for a reason. That
Hmm.
that Buggy is running from the brothers, and Babrik
Hmm.
is going because he's thinking of something else. So I don't think they
हाँ.
are running from QIP. I don't know. Let's see. Like I'm
Let's
interested in
see.
the story, um, but I just feel it's taking too long. I'm
Yeah.
getting a bit impatient.
Yeah,
इधर 3
absolutely.
एपिसोड करो या फिर फटाफट फटाफट आगे करो, थोड़ा ये
Okay. Yeah,
becoming a bit like
absolutely.
um,
2 episodes से याद आया Qarz-e-Jaan. I think
yes,
that's a good time to move into Qarz-e-Jaan territory now. What did you think of the episode overall? The 2 episodes.
2 episodes, not one. So much happened.
हाँ
I think I want to focus on different tracks because otherwise there's so much to talk about, right?
हाँ हाँ
So obviously one is the
yeah
Bisma, Dadi, or that entire angle, right?
हाँ
I felt that
हाँ
scene where she kind of hears about the wedding and kind of goes in shock. And the
हाँ
is just like, whatever, rolling her eyes and not even moving
yeah
an inch was an amazing scene, right? Where she's
yeah
just like shivering and that lady's just like, what
लीव
now?
में पानी पिलाओ. Yeah,
Yeah,
she's like लीव
you
में पानी
stop your
पिलाओ इसको.
drama, mat karo ye
Yeah
wo. So that was like the whole track which goes from there where Nashwa becomes very introspective and being like, okay, I need to solve this, right? I think that is the whole thing which is interesting because now she's made see it's come back to what we thought, right? She'll prioritize the mother's wedding over her because she's like, I
hmm
just need her to get out of the house. And that's what she's doing. She's using her
hmm
wedding card to push the mother's wedding. So she's like, मेरी
hmm
शादी के पहले उसकी शादी करा दो. That's what she's going to recruit Ammar for as well. That you side with me to push my mom's wedding forward. So
hmm
whenever the topic comes up, you have to support kind of.
Hmm.
That's where her track is going, because she clearly, in the last scene with her mother, she was like, only if you leave this house will you be able to help me, right? Otherwise, we are both
Hmm.
stuck here. Uh,
Hmm.
so, I thought that whole storyline build up of how she's thinking, she comes with this plan, and then she's executing it this way. And even that
Hmm.
comment that said that unka khoon, so she's not going to
Hmm.
do anything to me, So you
Huh.
have to make that differentiation also in her head. And that's what even Asim says. कि
Yeah.
finally वो तो उसका खून है, बिस्मा नहीं है.
Huh.
So that
Huh.
is quite a powerful statement, because she can stand up against them. They can't do anything to her because ultimately she's her poti, right?
Yeah.
तो वो
I huh.
interesting था. But yeah, on this, if you have comments, because I have so
I
many.
was huh. I was gonna say that for me, like the highlight, like the highlight of the previous two episodes was the progress on the Burhan and Nashwa love story. Okay. For me, in these two episodes, the highlight was um, learning more about Nashwa and how she's thinking through
Mm,
things. I mean,
yeah.
I thought it was such a brilliantly powerful scene where
Mm,
she's seeing the mother cry, and
mm.
for the first time, like voice what
She
has
feels.
gone through,
Yeah.
exactly what she
Yeah.
feels. And she even says, "Ke you're in so much pain and you never let it on."
Yeah.
You almost kind of said, "Nahi, nahi, it's BAU, it's fine, I am fine, everything is
Mm,
okay, hota
mm,
hai."
mm,
But you're in so much pain that this is what you're doing to yourself, right?
mm, mm,
Then that conversation with Burhan was very interesting when he called her and he
mm,
says to her, "Okay, you are both not looking at the problem. The
mm.
problem is, not this small thing, but the problem is that both of you are unwell and left to
Stuck
your
in
own
that house.
devices.
Yeah.
You're still stuck in that house. So you
Mm,
have to do something for yourself." Now
mm.
Burhan is probably saying from the point of view of,
Burhan
कि
angle.
getting बुरहान एंगल बुरहान को और आसिम को हर जगह में अपना एंगल डालना है बेसिकली. तो he's saying it from that side.
Hmm,
But she like imbibes that. Then it was interesting to say what Asim said, that
hmm,
वो दिल से नहीं, वो दिमाग से सोचती है,
hmm, hmm,
which again makes sense and tells us कि okay, there is something more that is happening
hmm,
in that scenario. मुझे
hmm.
शुरू में, and I think we'll come to the Nashwa Burhan track in a bit,
Yeah, yeah.
but just one point to touch on that was कि मुझे शुरू में वो part समझ नहीं आया था where she goes to the office and her behavior towards him.
Hmm.
It's very
That
different. It's like a
I want to
180
discuss
degree.
that. Yeah,
हाँ
I want to discuss that.
हाँ.
Yeah.
So let's discuss that. But that kind of now makes sense in the wider scenario given that last scene
Hmm,
where
hmm.
she says कि जब तक आप जब तक he's not my guardian, जब तक I don't have an Asim uncle as a guardian, तब तक you can't rescue me.
Yeah, yeah.
And finally मुझे लगता है कि जैसे बिस्मा is
This
like
might be light bulb चमकी है, basically.
थोड़ी सी चमकी है, exactly, कि she's like, okay, I'm not doing this for my own love story, but
Yeah,
I'm doing this because I need an escape route for myself and for my daughter.
yeah, yeah.
And and I can only give it when I have
Yeah.
this.
Yeah.
One thing, just the last thing on the Bisma and Nashwa relationship. I know, like, she slapped her in front of the dadi,
Hmm.
but I love the fact that at the end of the day, these two have only each other.
Hmm.
So वो उसकी complaint भी उसी को करती है, and when
Hmm.
she's hurting, वो hug भी उसी को करती है.
Hmm.
गलत नहीं कह रही है
For
Yeah.
comfort.
Yeah,
And
it was
similarly with Bisma,
that last scene was a very good scene, because so much came out, right? I think both those
हाँ
scenes, the one on the bed when the mother is hysterically talking like, you cannot be in this house, you cannot go through
हाँ
what I went through, and this cannot happen. Like, she's just so hysterical. And when Ashwa is like, oh, you hate Ammar that much, like,
yeah
and and I first found that question odd. Like, why is she asking that question? Like, is she
hmm
asking it in a way? But I realized it was more to make her, the mother, realize that you hate all these people and you haven't said anything so far. I think it was more from that angle rather than
hmm
gathering sympathy for Ammar. And then obviously the last scene where she's like, I met to high jump laga lungi, you need to get out of here. So to make
हाँ
me strong as well, right? So I think something she's plotting. Now I want to know what she's
हम्म
plotting. Then
हाँ
also that scene between Bisma and Sidra, where Sidra is like,
हाँ
I am not the father, so at least trust that I will be nice to your daughter, right?
हाँ
And Bisma is just like, I mean, I don't know, whatever. I cannot process this, right? Where she's trying to
हाँ
comfort her. And then she's like, I love that scene also where in the kitchen, she's just
हाँ
rambling to herself and she's like, I just
yeah
want to die. And in this entire conversation should end.
हाँ
Which is very interesting to see for a person where we've not seen anything so far. She hasn't
absolutely हाँ
complained even once, don't even see her complaining to her daughter.
yeah
And now she's reached this hysterical point where she's like, oh no, this is going to
बेवा बेवा कहकर मुझे ऐसे कुरेदा जाता है जैसे कि मैं तो पत्थर की बनी हूँ, मेरा तो कोई दिल ही नहीं है, मुझे किसी चीज का एहसास नहीं होता।
happen to my daughter. And this is like disastrous crisis.
हाँ
So very very interesting to see that.
Yeah, Bismarck's character actually I'm quite impressed
Yeah.
with what they're doing with it now all of a sudden because वही बात है कि Bismarck was somebody who we didn't know what was going on in her mind, and in some parts it has almost been frustrating so far to
Hmm.
see कि why doesn't she say anything, why doesn't she speak up, कुछ तो बोलो, कुछ तो कहो, कुछ तो रोको या क्या करो. And in the last couple of episodes now we've understood कि why that has been. Mentioned to Beanish, I think
Oh,
she
amazing character.
she's the only sane person who will come
Yeah.
and who will now she's trying to जैसे उसको बताती है वहां पे ऑफिस में उसको बताती है नशवा को कि ये रिश्ता हो रहा है, ये हो रहा है, and she's somebody who understands. Like she says to Nashwa कि I'll be happiest if you marry my brother as a
Hmm.
sister, but
Hmm.
I know कि what your mother went through, I don't want you to go through that.
Mm-hmm.
And I do love your
Yes,
mom as
the
well,
she
and
tells Sidra, right, that why are we doing the same thing again? I like the
एक
conversation. I like the conversation Beanish has with all three, right? She has a separate
हाँ
conversation with Vishwa saying, you have to say no. Then she has a conversation with Ammar and says, you have to say no.
yeah
She has a conversation with Sidra and she's like, you have to say something.
yeah
It's like playing
yeah
all angles and trying to make sure that everyone is like aware, and she
हाँ
wants to know that no decision is being made, which is like
हाँ
which is
she's
really good.
very invested,
Yeah.
and she has a say, so maybe she's using whatever influence she has in all three scenarios. One thing that I really don't I'm still a little bit on the fence with is okay, why is um when they say कि अमार का एटीट्यूड ऐसा नहीं है, अमार थोड़ा गुस्से का तेज है, अमार का जो डिमीनर है वो अपने बाप जैसा है, all of that. Why does nobody say that Amar is actually like a criminal as well? Even जब वो माँ बेटी आपस में बात कर रहे होते हैं, शी इज
Hmm.
मोर कंसर्न कि तुम यहाँ फंस जाओगी, ये हो जाएगा, वो हो जाएगा. At
Hmm.
no point is anybody saying कि even the mother is not saying to her कि तुम्हें पता तो है कि वो कैसा इंसान है, वो क्या करता है, वो किस किस चीज में पड़ा हुआ है, all of that. It's
Hmm.
not like Amar's only flaw is that he happens to be the son of Bakhtiar and the grandson of Dadi,
Yeah, I
which
agree.
makes me like हाँ
I was also quite shocked that no one even once mentioned that he is a
हाँ
criminal. And I think
yeah
this mindset that people have, कि शादी होके सुधर जाएंगे, is
हाँ
so wrong. That I just find that very odd. Like no one mentioned it even once that he's a criminal. But
हाँ
this reminds me, what was very interesting was Kutsia Appa's comment, where he said, "Bakhtiar इंसान अच्छा नहीं है." मैंने उसको देखा
हाँ
है जैसे वो बिस्मा को ऐसे, she noticed
हाँ
his
she noticed.
attitudes towards Bisma versus Sidra, right? So
Hmm.
I think, or either Sidra told her, I don't know, but that was a very interesting comment, which was like
That she
he
has. हाँ
actually like eyes Bisma in a very
हाँ.
different way.
And Asim Singh, like the way Asim is like, मैं
Yeah,
निकाह
so
करने के लिए
that was
तैयार हूँ,
very
right? Like he's
good
just like,
comment. Yeah.
हाँ. Um, My only concern is that, so I was watching like this snippet of an interview with the actor who plays Ammar, right?
Hmm.
And in that he says ke, when they ask him, how is it to play a villain? So he's like, oh, I'm not playing a villain. Which is, I was like, okay, theek hai. If you're not playing a villain, then like about time now that they showed us why
But
you're
he
not
is
the
not
villain,
the
or
villain, right? So look, think about, he's a negative character, but he's not a
yeah,
villain towards the people in the story, right? See, he's not,
okay,
see, think about it that way, right? He's not the villain of the story. The villain of the story is Bakhtiar and the mother. Amman
huh,
is also a character who is a product of that situation. Now, he's a negative character in his own right, for sure, but he's not doing anything to tamper with any of their lives. He's just
hmm,
completely outside. He's not playing games
huh,
to harass Nashwa or Bisma or anyone. He has never shown this. He's never shown like any kind of evil behavior towards them internally, right?
hmm,
So
hmm,
that he's not a negative character towards them. He is a criminal. He is a negative character externally. He has bad
hmm,
vibes and all that, but he's never done anything to them, right? So
yeah,
from that angle, he's not the villain of the story as such yet, at
hmm,
least yet, unless he does
huh.
something now, right? At least yet. So,
हाँ but फिर बात वही है कि if because the first few episodes that was the what the story was revolving around ठीक
hmm,
है his character that incident all of that stuff
hmm, hmm,
now they haven't given us anything on that in so long except for that one comment from the father last week
hmm.
now we can't forget it because for us the first 7-8 episodes were all about that
Yeah, yeah,
right
yeah, yeah, yeah.
but expecting us to now forget it and suddenly start thinking that Nashwa and Umar is an actual possibility.
No, I don't think that is the expectation. I don't think any. I
Ha,
mean, I've not forgotten that he's a criminal and a rapist.
exactly,
Of course
exactly,
not, right?
exactly.
And no
So
one is
I would, ha,
honor for him either, right? Like,
yeah,
but I like I like the scene where he comes very oddly to Nashwa and says, "You say no, right? Just say no to this wedding," because he
yeah,
knows he can say
yeah,
no because the father's already threatened him with that rape accusation.
yeah,
So he has no
ha,
real, leg to stand on.
yeah.
So he has to tell her only. So that was a good scene, I thought. Um, but yeah, I want to discuss that Burhan scene. I don't know if
Go
you have
on,
anything else
ha,
here
ha,
to
ha.
say stuff.
No, I'm
Um,
I'm done with the Amar thing. Go on with the Burhan thing.
so I thought it was very, so they have a conversation in the morning where he's like, I'll
Ha,
come pick you up. And she's still like joking with him, okay,
yeah,
oh,
yeah, and smiling at the phone. Ha,
and ये जो भी surprise मिलेगा सबको
ha,
और फिर
ha,
मेरी, yeah.
ha.
And suddenly she goes to the office and she's so cold.
मेरा नहीं ख्याल आपको अम्मार से शादी करनी चाहिए और आप अच्छी तरह से जानती हैं मैं ये बात क्यों कह रहा हूँ
सर मुझे लगता है कि हमें केस डिस्कस कर लेना चाहिए
Like
Yeah,
so cold. And I was like, what is she doing? Like, why is she doing this? Even if she's pretending to marry Ammar so that mother gets mad,
hmm,
why does she have to be like this with him?
yeah. You don't have
This
to be so cold, especially when he is somebody who's fully aware of the situation in your house. It's not like Burhan doesn't know. He actually heard the Dadi speak and all of that stuff. So he knows. He
Hmm,
knows the past as well. And again, like that transition, okay, from the morning
I found
to
very
that
weird.
journey time when she comes into the office and nothing has actually happened
Huh.
there is no scene of hers between the time that she leaves the house and only she speaks to the mother who says that they won't allow you to work after शादी या क्या and all of that पर उसके अलावा कोई ऐसी चीज हुई नहीं है ये I think timeline में थोड़ा सा issue है कि maybe they don't show us anything that warranted that cold behavior and it's actually very cold
Yeah,
मतलब
it's like
and
almost like as if she's trying to push him away. Like she wants to push him away. And I'm like, please don't show,
yeah but
don't
it
give
doesn't make sense to do it at that point because by that point he is he's been nice to her in the morning he got her flowers again ठीक है he says these are for you she sees the flowers ठीक है मुझे समझ आता है कि if he had said those sorry these flowers are from Faraar okay or something like that So she could have like been a bit sorrowed about that. But she had no reason to be so cold to him. She's saying, these are the flowers for you. She's like, case ki baat kare. And and it's interesting because he switches off. He switches off and he's thinking to all the other things,
Yeah.
thinking back to all the other things because he's like, okay, this doesn't make sense. He knows this doesn't make sense.
I don't know.
And
I
then
feel like it was very weird because maybe I thought two things could be. One could be that
हाँ,
she has actually she wants to show everyone that she is interested in Ammar. So she's also doing that with him, which was very weird. She could actually recruit him and say that,
exactly,
this is my plan,
exactly.
this is how I plan to execute. Or the other
हाँ,
thing could be that she's feeling guilty that in all of this madness where my mother is suffering and she's going through all this pain, I'm sitting and having romantic thoughts about someone. She might be feeling out of guilt. It might be that she
हाँ.
wants to only focus on getting her mother out of the situation and she doesn't want to distract herself with any of
But
the
for
other stuff.
that, but for okay, I would be more inclined to believe the latter. But they
Hmm.
could have given us just one, one internal thought of hers. Maybe
Uh,
on the way to work, or maybe when she hangs up on the phone with him, because it was a very sweet conversation. Then he
mm,
says, "Ke, मैं आ जाऊं लेने." Maybe after she hung up and there was, that one thought that, what am I doing? You
yeah,
know, कि
yeah.
सब कुछ इतना problem में है and why am I like, just when she checks herself, and
Mm,
then that other scene would have made sense. But
yeah.
without that internal dialogue, or without telling us that, it didn't make sense.
Even I didn't
It,
understand that. It was quite shocking, and
huh,
I was more like, "Oh no, Abhi, the father has spoken to him about Faryal. Yeah, he
yeah,
likes her, and if
huh,
she behaves coldly with him for a prolonged period of time, he might think she doesn't like him.
huh,
And oh God, that cannot happen."
yeah. And it's really like because, and I really think that his acting now has been really like he's really upped the game, Barrister
Yes.
Burhana.
Yeah.
Even in that coffee wala scene, now he tries to not address why, because he's obviously thinking of her.
Yeah.
The father even mentions it to him. He turns it around to the father first.
Mhm.
Then the father, kind of says, "Okay, oh, she will be fine," and you can tell, like he's not, he's a little heartbroken. Okay, how nonchalantly is the father saying, "के हाँ
Mm,
ठीक है, नशवा की शादी तो हो जाएगी
mm,
अम्मार से और वो ठीक भी रहेगी because वो उनका खून है and all
mhm,
of that." And you can see his spirit breaking.
mm,
Um, and then he mentions the Faraal thing, and he doesn't say no, but very tamiz se he says, "Do I have to say yes or no right now?"
mm,
And he gives, a half smile and nods, "Okay, okay, leave it with me."
mm,
Um, but the moment the father leaves,
mm,
you can see like he's just like,
mm,
his expression changes.
mm,
He's शुरू वाला जो dreamy expression था, it's not that anymore. It's very like real now.
mm,
Similarly, he says to Nashwa के आप he पहले इधर से जाके फिर उधर से जाके, but he finally does say कि I don't want you to, आपको उससे शादी के लिए ना कर देना चाहिए, and आपको पता है ये मैं क्यों कह रहा हूँ,
mm,
ठीक है? And again, like she doesn't, and in the body language as well, he's like leaning forward when he's having that conversation, and
mm.
then suddenly when she starts talking about the case, and she completely ignores that. He
Yeah.
goes back and he's like, okay, हो क्या रहा है?
Mm, mm.
So I definitely hope कि इस सब चक्कर में he doesn't, I don't think he's
So
that
yes,
stupid. He
Faryal.
shouldn't be that stupid.
No,
हाँ, कि
look at the next teaser. Na? Teaser mein they're sitting on the terrace and having a conversation. She, the mother,
हाँ,
and everyone is smiling and laughing. So now I'm like a bit
हाँ.
confused.
But that's probably because that's the Bisma and Asim situation, where
But
he's
still,
come in
right?
and he's trying to,
Yeah, but still there is like back to the old
हाँ, that
casual.
vibe.
Yeah. So then I don't know now. I
So
wish there were episodes
हाँ.
coming out every day.
Yeah, I do think that it's more to do with, the fact that it's that she's planning this thing long term. I don't think she's planning with like planning this in such a way. She likes Burhan. She knows that Burhan likes her a
Yeah.
little bit, but I
But
don't
that's
think she's
not the
doing all of this
priority.
planning. her plan is not with that as end game. Like, she's thinking, okay, I just need to get the mother out,
Yeah.
and then I can say no to Amar
Yeah.
as
And then I'll
well.
deal with my situation, however I deal with it. It doesn't matter.
Exactly. She's not thinking, okay, oh, but the next step, the last step of this is that, then I marry Burhan. She's not in that frame of mind. Do you want to say anything else about the Burhan and no?
No.
You're smiling giddily, so that's nice to see.
Actually, I was so, when I was watching that scene, I was like, no, 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 don't push him
Yeah.
away. Don't.
Exactly. I was like, इतनी मुश्किल से तो, but the other scene that I really liked to watch, but it was मुझे इतना गुस्सा भी आ रहा was that scene where Bijan and Kutsi Ape go to Dadi, and I was just like, यार ये इसको कोई तो रोके इसको.
But I love the patience with which that both of them are replying to her, and very patiently, very logically. And I almost felt that the Dadi got convinced to a point. If Bisma hadn't come, I felt like the Dadi almost was like, okay, I don't have any more answers. But I love the acting of that Dadi. Her expressions, I don't even know. I can't make those expressions that she makes.
She doesn't soften her expression for even a second.
Except Ammar. Ammar हमारा बेटा है.
But otherwise, she doesn't let the character slip.
No.
she is वो कहते हैं ना कि a worthy opponent. She is a worthy opponent in all of this. कि मतलब उनकी और जो उनकी बातें करने का तरीका और and hats off to Bijan and the other one because इतने patience के साथ इतनी nonsense सुनना बार and still to stick to the topic and say कि नहीं. I thought Nashwa was very good to come in and at that point say to the Dadi. But bada patience tha and very good acting by the Dadi.
The Dadi is so hats off, right? Like you hate her. You hate her, that lady.
Yeah.
It's sad for her, but good for her acting because the way she just sits there and she's just like doing her tasbih and whatever with that very bad
कितनी छोटी चीजें हैं that she's constantly she has the tasbih in her hand. Like it is something that that frustrates you more.
Yeah.
Because you're like the hypocrisy of it frustrates you even more. So I think that was Qarz-e-Jaan. Very good, very good 2 episodes. I think Qarz-e-Jaan is the best drama out of all the ones on air right now.
Yeah.
So coming to Meem Se Mohabbat. So again, first of all, like I'll say the acting has really picked up. From Dananir's part, in this one now, when she's talking to the child, and telling the story and how she's holding back her tears. I thought that was very well done. So that hats off to Dananir. Ahad's acting as well, I thought was so well done in the scene where he finds out that she may be getting married to somebody else.
शादी हो रही है उसके अनकरीब.
Father's acting as well, Ahad's father's acting as well, very well done. The only people whose acting I do not understand and whose expressions I also don't understand and whose thought process or lack thereof I also don't understand is Roshi's family.
Okay.
So Roshi's family, I mean, I don't understand. Like her sister knows the situation now. ठीक है? When it was her sister's problem, जब वो mix up हो गया था, she went and spoke to the dada, she fixed everything, fatafat. Now Roshi has spoken to the dada already. The sister knows, and the sister's actually not doing anything about it. she's not spoken to anybody. She's not saying, okay, guys, I think she's in a bad place. Just let her be. She doesn't even have to give them the full reason. She
Yeah,
can
yeah,
just say, just let her be for now. ठीक है,
yeah.
just take a little bit of a stand. आप वहां पे इतना कुछ कर रहे हो अपने मतलब फादर इन लॉ के किचन राइट्स के लिए एंड ऑल ऑफ दैट, तो आप यहाँ पे हल्का सा कुछ कर सकते हो for your sister. I felt,
हाँ,
ठीक है. Again, the mother, like it's really weird. Like, if somebody in your family, if their demeanor changes so much from them being really happy and being so like आपकी बंदे की appearance ही change हो गई है. She's tying her hair more, she's looking sad. मतलब वो fleeting ऐसे देखते हैं, क्या हुआ? तुम ये क्या हुआ? ऐसे करके they just ask her, or nobody's actually
But
speaking about it. Okay,
okay, to be fair, right? To be fair to the parents
हाँ,
or the family. Now, generally, even if you take your case, right? If you are going
हाँ,
through something in the middle, like for her baby, they just think that she's now busy with college, she's studying, she's like paying attention
okay,
to studies. So all of that must be making her stressed, right? Like I think it's just
okay,
normal college life stress that she has, and that's why she's like not as
हाँ,
Farik na before jumping here, jumping there, because now she doesn't have to do all that. So I don't think they paid too much attention. The Dada paid some attention to it, and he asked her, right? The Dadi also noticed, what happened to her now. But उसको कमेंट में पास कर दिया था ना कि अभी वो तो बिजी हो गई है, उसका कॉलेज चल रहा है, टेंशन होगा, स्टडीज का होगा, ये वो.
But
But
then you don't, go on,
what
go on.
Dawn is in first of the two episodes, she tells the mother, no, okay, I'm very busy with engineering and I don't want to meet any guy, and please do not make me meet him. And cut to do din baad, she's like, yeah, I want to get married. So
Yeah,
that no one is questioning. Okay, how did you
yeah,
change your mind, right?
yeah.
And
And
decide,
literally 2 days before, in the same phase, she says, I've just started studying. Please don't bother me with this.
yeah, yeah. And
But
then she's
no,
like,
they're
I'm
all sitting and having like their peanuts and their whatever, and they're like, yeah, yeah.
getting fair. Like they do have some reservations, right? Like the Dadi has reservations, and she says that I don't know if this is the right time. कि शादी करनी चाहिए, नहीं करनी चाहिए. So they're not like totally jumping into it, right? They are all thinking about it. It's not like it's a jhatpat decision. So, and they
I
ask
don't
her,
I
"This
don't think
husband."
that they're I mean, I don't in that one in that room where
Hmm.
they say, I liked Arsalan, I also liked him, I also liked him. They all go around that room saying, ha, हमें भी पसंद है, हमें भी पसंद है. Two things. एक तो मुझे, and I was going to come back to this point later, but I just don't understand जो वो शारिक के parents हैं.
Hmm.
How are they okay, to वो शारिक है, कोई शाह साहब थोड़ी है QIP का कि उसने कहा कि you go take my रिश्ता and you tell them that my name is Arsalan, and they're okay to do that. Like the
Lying,
mother is okay to do that. I
yeah.
mean, in what world do you not, at what, like, it's the most obvious thing.
I
At what point do you find out that his name is not,
saying that, dude, what is going on with you? Are you mad or what? Like, why are
yeah,
you behaving so weird? Like, no one is questioning how weird he's behaving.
yeah. Like mummy wants to go to Kuwait so bad that she's just like, okay, I'll do this, right? And then they actually mention that Roshi's father spoke to his father
Hmm.
in Kuwait.
Hmm.
Okay.
Hmm.
And he said what, हमें आपका अरसलान बहुत, we're just pretending उसका नाम अरसलान है, उसका असल नाम शारिक है, but हाँ वो बहुत अच्छा है and it's really nice to speak to you and all of that. Like nobody's questioning that. Like how are we to, as audiences, okay, how are we to take that leap of faith?
Maybe it's Sharik Arsalan or something, his
Huh?
name. उसके दो नाम होंगे शायद. ऐसे नहीं होगा?
I actually did think initially कि, maybe some people have a middle name.
Yeah.
So you can say कि, okay, you can say कि, okay, middle name is the first name and all that. That I would understand. But they didn't show that. She's
Hmm.
just like, आपने मेरा नाम नहीं बताया ना? And then like next thing we hear her is like, yeah, मेरा बेटा Arsalan. So it's a bit like, And how is the father, okay, ठीक है, mother is over, whatever. How is his father also not questioning? And they're like, बहुत educated है, हमारी रोशी के लिए बहुत अच्छा मैच है. मतलब, have you checked with anybody? Have you asked
He said,
anybody? ये कौन
they
लोग हैं?
did not they did पूछताछ. They said that
With
when
whom?
they've now
No,
done
no.
their
They said
Ramallah or whatever the
they only said कि कि हमने उसके बाप से बात की है. The guy asked him, देखिए, the Roshi's father is a grown up guy, okay? He asks the Sharik कि आपने क्या अभी why were you not employed before? Civil engineering की फील्ड में, ठीक है? He can make 2 phone calls and find out अगला पिछला सबका, ठीक है? And he says कि हाँ, मैं मलेशिया गया हुआ था किसी कोर्स के लिए. And the way the guy fumbles, right, is no grown up in that room. सब बैठे हुए हैं, शेरो शायरी कर रहे हैं. Is nobody like seeing कि that's a bit of an odd thing. Like he's not clear in what he's doing.
Did
He's
he
not
not
actually
go?
saying all these things.
I don't know that he didn't go to Malaysia. He
He
may have
obviously
gone.
did not.
But how's the
No,
mother? The
he was
mother at some point
unemployed. Yeah,
कितने झूठ बोल रहे हो तुम भाई बच्चे
हाँ.
ये सब क्यों झूठ
बच्चे
बोल
तुम कितना झूठ बोल रहे हो. And she's not even worried. Like, at no point does the mother say to him कि but what if they find out that that this is not your name? Like, what if they find out? Like, it doesn't even cross her mind that it could be found out. So for me, like that I was just like, oh my God, like, come on, you know. Um, yeah. What did you think of the Sabika angle this episode?
Oh, where she goes to the house and tries to play and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you don't like her, but if you take from a very perspective of someone who's trying, she's trying, no? She's trying. But the conversation with the mother is clearly apparent that she doesn't have the temperament to deal with a child. Abhi, she's like
Yeah.
being nice and all, but at some point she'll lose her patience, right? And
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
she's trying to engage. Now, look, even I know a lot of people in real life who are not
हाँ.
that comfortable with kids, right? जो तुम्हारे
Yeah.
kids होते हैं या किसी के, they are not that like great with kids. So she
हाँ.
makes one of those who's not great with kids, and plus Mohit is
Yeah.
also not giving out ghas, na? So
हाँ.
how do you play with a child who's not willing to play with you either? So I think
हाँ.
that is, she's trying, but I just feel, yeah. I mean, I think that I think that section of the story is sensible because the father is like, "Okay, now you're a grown up. You want to get married to her, get married to her. I can't
हाँ.
stop you if you think she's like, of course." And she's trying to be extra nice and chapply and be like, "Mohit क्यों नहीं
Yeah.
आया? ये नहीं हुआ, वो नहीं हुआ."
Best is she's like, मैंने wedding dress मोहित की choice से
हाँ,
लेना था.
Rao,
Yeah, I was
that's
like, I was like, in which world do you buy a wedding dress? Even if it's your own child, you don't ask an 8 or like a 10-year-old boy, okay,
boy.
which wedding dress should I get? You're not like, choosing between, I don't know, like burger or sandwich.
वो थोड़ा
And then,
extra हो गया. वो
yeah,
थोड़ा,
and then so odd. She's like, हम उसका भी तुम्हारी तरह का same 3-piece suit बनाएंगे. Like,
हाँ,
like
बाजा.
he's the groom and he's like, ऐसे थोड़ी ना होता है.
हमारे यहाँ बोलते हैं बैंड बाजा वाला, like if you wear the same thing.
हाँ. हाँ, मतलब ऐसे आर्मी लाइक यूनिफॉर्म थोड़ी ना उन्होंने पहनना है कि सबको सेम पहना दो.
Trying ना
So
उसका ये.
again, if this writer is really smart, she could have just given us something a bit more smart for even audiences to think, okay, there is some potential here. ये हो सकता है. The best part is when you as an audience are also torn a little bit. ये भी सही है, but वो
हाँ,
ज़्यादा सही
exactly.
है,
You feel
all that.
bad for both
Like,
parties. Yeah, exactly.
हाँ,
Yeah.
ऐसे black and white थोड़ी कि आप किसी भी like stupid like ऐसे दिखाओ फिर you're like, oh, he's choosing like Roshi.
A
Of
silly
course he's
person.
choosing Roshi because alternative ही आपने इतना अजीब दिया है. या
Hmm.
थोड़ा सा एक viable alternative तो होना चाहिए ना, even to get you intrigued. And also I still don't understand why Talha must marry somebody or Sabika at this point. Being single and saying no to Shadi,
Settle
huh?
down. He has to settle down.
Yeah, because father has said that. He goes and he's like, Abba ने भी कहा है, और thank God he said कि मैं भी यही सोच रहा था. Otherwise, if
Hmm.
he had again said ना कि Abba is again saying कि let's settle, like I should settle down, I would have been like, yeah, you've already had this conversation once before.
Hmm.
Please step out of it. But वही बात है कि जितनी मर्जी अच्छी acting हो, the script has to give you something more.
The thing is that there is not much. I said, I think we discussed the first review episode when we saw the 10 or how many episodes.
Hmm.
Story is quite basic. So there is not much to
हाँ,
say. So either you make the
हाँ,
character interesting and create some kind of chemistry around the characters, because nothing more in the
hmm,
story. And all this extra thing they've added with the neighbor and with the that
yeah,
whatever that
हाँ,
servant in the kitchen and nonsense is just to fill the
yeah.
the story, because the story, there's nothing. The story is just about these four people. So I'm
Yeah,
thinking,
it's a very basic, exactly. It's such a basic story, and I think what did you think of that scene between Roshi and Talha? The only scene we get in the office where he says कि आपका experience letter बना दिया, and she basically gives back to him, and she's like, sorry, I'm
yeah,
not interested.
yeah. Okay, I mean, I guess it was a scene. I think there was nothing
Hmm.
majorly. I think that's when probably he realized two things. One is that how much he likes, or at least he's attached to her, like, not like, I don't know, attached to her, and also how much he kind of hurt her, probably both
Hmm.
at the same time,
Hmm.
because she is quite devastated, or at least her statements had
हाँ,
gotten such that it's very clear that she was hurt. So I think those
हाँ,
two become very apparent. But I think the fact that she also says that you'll never see me again, anywhere close to you, I think that
yeah,
also hit home for him, kind of in a way.
हाँ,
This is like
हाँ.
final.
Huh. I think where this would probably go from his side is, now they're going to show the opposite, where he would be interested in her, but she's going to be like, I'm sorry, but I'm getting married to this other guy.
Hmm.
And, you can go and marry Sabika and all that. So I think like we'll see some episodes of like borderline angst between the two of them, and then eventually,
So in
from
the
teasers.
teaser they show, right, that this Mohit falls in some pool and that Roshi is
Yeah,
giving some tana to him कि तुमको
yeah,
ख्याल रखना आते ही नहीं बच्चे का और ये वो.
हाँ, हाँ.
So that only they'll keep doing all this era
Yeah, I
nonsense.
think in a couple of for a few
Yeah.
episodes, it'll be like, now her giving back to him.
Hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
till that point where,
And he will tolerate
uh,
her quip because he is whatever likes her, whatever.
huh.
But
I
moving on,
mean,
thoda, it's getting a bit boring, to be honest. Either they need to
huh,
use those two episodes wisely. So have
hmm,
meaningful progress in the story. Uh,
yeah. And I think it's definitely time to do away with the neighbor track.
I mean, I don't even know.
Like,
Is something happening with the neighbor,
huh.
with them?
I
Like, is there some overlap? I have no idea.
Yeah. Like why? Like शुरू में समझ आ रहा था कि he was like a contender for her, for Roshi. But now why do you need to watch that?
I
And
don't know.
even that whole like maid track with the father, and like,
I find that so sexist, this whole thing. Like, why are they
yeah,
showing it this way? Like, to make the mother aware of her actions, you have to use another
yeah,
woman. Like, is
yeah,
that your solution as a woman, like as the daughter-in-law? Don't you look at this and you're
yeah,
like, what is wrong with the situation?
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I
And the
find it,
problem is that it is also like written by a woman.
yeah, I
This
just find
show is written by a woman. So I mean, you're looking at it and you're just like, एक तो इतना extreme करने की, I don't know, I don't understand the purpose of it. Like you don't see women like him, like her very much in
yeah.
society. So it's
uh,
not like some great society, like some great social problem that they're highlighting with this.
hmm.
So genuinely, I don't understand why we have to,
Solve a
see
problem.
first a problem and then solve a problem and then see, like, I don't understand
Like,
why we are
almost
going
solving a
down.
problem that does not exist, right? And you're almost giving the message that the woman
Huh,
should take care of the man, right? That is the
yeah,
message you're giving, which is
huh. It's not even like an equality thing. It's
Yeah.
like कि नहीं नहीं कि
हाँ,
she must now do it. But I think overall, like, I really hope that they can start focusing back on the leads, on the main leads, and
mm,
give them, you know, something meatier to fight over, and like better
the
dialogues,
drama.
better, हाँ.
Oh, in the drama.
Because वही बात है कि दोनों की एक्टिंग बहुत अच्छी है, both Ahad and Nananir, and
Mm,
it would be a shame to not give them anything more at
mm,
this point with their characters. My only hope is that Ahad usually chooses very good scripts, so you know that there is something more to the script
mm.
that we are yet to see. But we are yet to see.
Yeah. No, I have not seen some aha moment where I'm like, huh, okay, this is now interesting,
This
right?
is
Like,
this is why it
so
is.
we'll see. I think
Exactly.
that's it
Um,
for,
huh?
I was going to say that's it for Meem Se Mohabbat, at least for now.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's it for all three of them for now. Please do like our content. You know, support us by sharing it with other people who do watch dramas as well. And as always, let us know if you agree or disagree with what we are saying.
Great. On that note, Khuda Hafiz, take care, and we'll see you again next week.
Take care. Hafiz.